Look at that water finding its level. This is a fluke. We know water doesn't find its level. This is an anomaly over here because the Earth's a ball. See, the Earth couldn't be this spinning ball right here because 70% of the Earth is water, and water doesn't bend convexly around the exterior of a spinning sphere in a vacuum. That would defy physics, including fluid statics. Of course, also they say that gas pressure is bending around the outside of this ball convexly, right? That's what the atmosphere is, even though gases have no inherent shape, and that's a dumb term. The gas around the sphere would fill the available space because of the second law of thermodynamics. And the water always finds its level. That's called fluid statics. These are actual laws of physics that cannot be denied. But when it comes to the magic spinning cartoon ball Earth in a vacuum that only NASA can see, and we're supposed to believe even though they admit it's just cartoons, well, it defies all the physics. It has magical powers. And what gives them the magical powers is that we give them $60 million a day. That's right, NASA takes $60 million a day of our tax money to tell us that the Earth defies physics, and then they give us cartoons, and that proves it. How impressive. So if the Earth was actually a ball like this, then, well, the water would fall off of it because water finds its level. It's called fluid statics. And as it spins, the water falls off of it faster. So 70% of a ball Earth couldn't be water. That's dumb. Of course, we've actually measured the Earth and it doesn't have a radius of 3,959 miles or a circumference of 24,901 miles. Because that means it has to bend at a rate of 8 inches per mile squared, which means you see the Earth's curvature at 1.225 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. So at 1 foot off the surface of the Earth, you see Earth's curvature from 1.2 miles away. But we see horizons over 10 miles away from 1 foot off the surface of the Earth, requiring the radius to be over 250,000 miles, and they claim it's under 4,000 miles. What a clown world. Welcome to Clown World. But hey, guys, you should probably not listen to any empirical evidence or laws of physics because the government would never lie to you. They just took over this year and told you to be scared of oxygen, but they love you, and they did it to help you. The government has never lied except for whenever they started the Vietnam War with the false flag called Gulf of Tonkin, declassified in their own military documents, where they admitted that they set it up and lied and said Vietnam attacked us when we attacked ourselves. But that was the only time that the government's ever lied, except for also maybe 9/11 when they said a passport flew out of fire and it was unscathed and showed us where the bad guy was, and then we had weapons of mass destruction to justify a 10-year ideological war that never ended. But that was the only other time the government's ever lied, except for Operation Mockingbird, declassified from like the 50s and the 70s, that they took over the media and that they're actual agents as news anchors. But that's the only other time the government lied. When it comes to NASA, we can trust NASA. This is what the Earth looks like, because NASA said so. And yeah, NASA works for the government, but they're the one governmental agency that doesn't lie, because they went to the moon in 1969. They can't go back because the technology is a difficult process to build it back, and they accidentally destroyed it. The technology gets worse over time, and my iPhone 12 Pro has more processing capability than a warehouse of computers in '69. But don't worry about this. The government loves you, and they're just telling you the truth. NASA also means to deceive in Hebrew, but that's another coincidence. We should probably blindly believe them with our entire worldview. I would go back in a nanosecond, but the problem is, I'm going to invoke an emotion, pain. It was a painful process. The Earth's not a magic spinning cartoon ball that defies physics. The Earth's flat and stationary in the center of everything. I've been testing it for 5 years. I've been kicked off every platform you can name. Or we can blindly believe the government who took over this year, or maybe we could test it for ourselves and realize that the scriptures are true and the Creator loves you. That's right, the scriptures are true. I used to think it was a fairy tale. Comes to find out, it's right about everything, including the actual shape of the Earth, which is not a magic spinning sphere in a vacuum, because that defies physics. Believe it or not? Believe it or not, the Earth is not a sphere. They lied about the Earth. Believe it or not, you can still believe the Earth's a magic spinning cartoon sphere in a vacuum. It doesn't make it one. It doesn't change the fact that they lied. So believe it or not, fluid statics necessitates water finds its level. That's why the water's falling off the ball. How would it be sticking to a spinning ball going 1,040 miles per hour east of the equator in a vacuum? That would be antithetical to fluid statics, though. That's a natural law. That doesn't make sense. Well, let's talk about the gas pressure on the Earth then. Since water is too profound for you guys, we'll talk about gas pressure. We're breathing gas. That's how we're alive, because we're breathing. We have 14.7 psi at the surface level. In order to have pressure, it has to be contained. This is because the second law of thermodynamics. Don't worry, it's not too complicated. High pressure migrates to low pressure. So when I open a soda and it goes, psh, it's because it's equalizing to the lower pressure around it. High pressure always migrates to low pressure. You couldn't have a pressurized system next to or adjacent to a near perfect vacuum of 10 to the negative 17 torr because the pressure would fill the vacuum. It's the second law of thermodynamics. They lied about the Earth, and they take $60 million a day at NASA to do so. And on their own website, they admit that they're not real pictures of Earth, they're just cartoons. So I'm crazy because I don't want to blindly believe in cartoons. What a cool story. No. That's right. NASA.gov themselves admit that they're not real pictures. They're just cartoons and computer-generated images. That's why we give them $60 million a day. It's 2021 and we went to the moon in '69, but we can't get real pictures of the Earth. Probably just a coincidence, though, because we know that the government actually loves us. That's why they took over by force last year and everyone complied and got scared of the air. It's because they were trying to help us because they love us.